We talked about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but it's in the news again. Roger Goodell is lobbying hard for teams, some team, to sign Colin Kaepernick. What do you think of what Roger Goodell's doing, Dad?
Okay, this may surprise people who know my feelings about Kaepernick. I would love to see him get a job in the NFL. I think it would be great, and I think Goodell thinks that as well. From his point of view, and remember, he's trying to enhance the image of the league. It would make the league seem progressive, forward-thinking, kind, and making up for was probably a wrong. I mean, Kaepernick couldn't get a job, and it certainly seems like something fishy went on. I'm not saying there was collusion. I don't know what went on, but I think what's more, I think I would like to see him get a chance. I would like to see what he can do. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, beyond it being the right thing to do, it would be a money-making opportunity for the NFL, and it would lead to bigger ratings. He'd be must-see TV. His practices, his preseason games. To me, it's gone on long enough. Goodell's doing the right thing, and I've always suspected that he wants him in the league. It's not up to him. It's up to the owners. He's tried to set up a tryout. He's tried his best, but some owner, and I think it's kind of shameful that it hasn't happened yet. But some owner needs to offer him a veteran minimum contract. You don't have to offer him $10 million. He's been out of the league for almost 4 years. Just offer him 1 year, like $1 million or $900,000, and say, look, you need to prove yourself. You're going to be the backup. But if you play well, you could be like Ryan Tannehill, who starts half a season and then gets a $140 million contract. Why not? Just come in, show you want to play, and prove yourself. I think that needs to happen. But I'll tell you why it's not going to happen, Dad. This is why it's not going to happen. You bring him in, you give him a $900,000 contract. He says he's all about football. The problem is he still becomes the most famous player on your team. The backup quarterback is now the focus of all media. And you're getting media CNN, MSNBC, national people who don't care about football. The rest of your team combined can't match his visibility, and no team wants that. And you could say it's his fault. Maybe it's not his fault, but he's just too famous, I think, to be a backup quarterback.
Okay, I have an antidote for that.
Okay.
And this is a way out for a team that signs him.
Yeah.
For Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I have an antidote for that.
Okay.
The first day of preseason, you bring him in and you have a big press conference.
Ooh, good idea.
And CNN, ESPN, you bring in you.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. An hour and a half, every question.
And you say you can ask Colin any question you want. It could be about police brutality. It could be about inequities in our social system.
Castro, Cuba, anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
It could go on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And Colin could say whatever he wants to say. And then Colin would say, because he's a gentleman,
yes,
I've answered all your questions. This is now a place of business.
Yes.
I honor my teammates and I welcome this opportunity. I won't speak about these things anymore.
Maybe I'll give a Zoom conference call in the future, but this will be the last time I address it in the team auditorium or something like. I want to respect the football team and show everyone that I really am 100% committed to getting back my career.
Yes, and then if after games, because we saw Iggy, people would go after games and talk to him about social issues. He could very politely say,
"Let's just step outside real quick."
No, I'm going to have a Zoom conference call. Not go outside. We just played a game. I want to honor the game. I want to honor the league. And I want to honor my teammates. No, I'm not going to talk about it, but I will talk about the game if you'd like. He could handle that. And I think what would happen is before a team signed him, they would have to make an agreement like that. I think if Kaepernick really wants to play, it's an easy way for him to do it and to be a gentleman and still say everything he wants to say and to honor his team.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I think that's great. And if he feels he needs to use his platform to speak about things certain times after games, I would say to him and the head coach of whatever team signs him, they need to put that up to the vote of the team. If all 53 players say, you know what, Colin, this is a very serious issue. We're on your side. Do what you got to do. The whole team supports you. Then great. But if 4 people say, you know what, it's just not right in a locker room, I think he needs to respect that because football is all about unifying 53 people. And you don't want to be, for any reason, the guy who splits it up into 45 and 10, 35 and 20. You don't want to be that guy. So just take a vote. Colin, is it cool for Colin to answer questions about non-football things after games? If everyone on the team says, yeah, do your thing, Colin, this is important, then go ahead. But I don't think they will. I don't think they will.
That's a new thought to me, and it seems very egalitarian. If you do it like that, sure,
put it up to a vote. But I'm telling you, players come from all over the country. There's Republicans in the locker room. There's going to be some people that feel like, dude, can we just talk about football here, please? So I think he needs to respect that if he's going to if he's going to revive his career and become a leader of an NFL team again.
So I think that we agree on a point that if a team is afraid to hire him because he would become the focal point, and they would lose a football discussion, it would become something else. That in fact there are ways around that are easy to put into effect, and that Colin could feel comfortable with. So again, I think we agree that we would like to see him get a chance.
Yes.
Now, last question.
Yes.
Do you think the Niners would give him a chance?
No, I don't. I absolutely don't think so. I think they're happy that he's gone. Because again, I don't think it's that they're a bunch of closeted Republicans and they disagree with him. I think it's all about him being too famous. They don't want the focus of the franchise to be him and his issues. Not issues. Him and his message. Him and his message. They want the focus of the franchise to be Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the fact that the Niners are a progressive, forward-thinking football factory, not a dual threat business that does football and other things. I don't think they want to be that.
I agree with you. And in fact, they had him. Iggy, did they cut him or did he just leave as a free agent?
He left as a free agent, but they would have cut him. It was one of those things like, hey, you can opt out of your deal or we'll cut you. It's like you can resign or we'll fire you. Up to you.
Yeah. So they had him, and they were very clear on that.
Yes.
In addition, the kind of offense they run, you have to have a passing quarterback. And Colin, for the many good things he did, was a one-read guy and then run.
That's right.
And Shanahan couldn't have that. So, final question. Could you think of a team that it would be a mark of wisdom, football wisdom and social wisdom, to go after him?
Absolutely. Obviously the Ravens, because he runs the same offense. I mean, Greg Roman's over there, he's done that. But beyond the Ravens, because Lamar Jackson's great and he doesn't get hurt, and Colin probably wouldn't play there. I think there are teams with old quarterbacks who are good that aren't really in a position in the draft to draft heir apparents that could use a quality backup, like the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's great, but he gets hurt all the time. He missed 14 games last year, and they still won, I believe, 8. They won 8-8 last year, despite having two of the worst quarterbacks in the league playing for him. You saw Mason Rudolph. He was awful. And then they replaced him with someone. It's like, rather than do that, bring in a guy who's won games in the NFL, who can run, who can throw a little bit, who's mediocre, and he's better than Mason Rudolph. Actually win more than 8 games. Give yourself a chance. So the Steelers would make sense. I'm trying to think of other teams off the top of my head, but teams like that, teams like the Steelers. Why are you losing on purpose? It seems like to me.
Really good case. In addition, that's an African-American head coach.
Absolutely. So Pittsburgh, step up.
Yeah, and also they're in the AFC, and they're not that familiar with Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
He might have success.
I got another one, Buffalo. I got another one, Tennessee. Let's talk about Tennessee for a second. They bring in Ryan Tannehill last year. Tannehill's been in the league as long as Kaepernick. Kaepernick was always better than Tannehill. Tannehill was in Miami a long time, started a bunch of games, and was relentlessly mediocre. Not bad, just relentlessly mediocre. Like Kaepernick, but without the ability to run. He goes to Tennessee, plays well for half a season, gets a $124 million or whatever. Who's to say he won't revert back to the mediocre guy he was? And if he does, wouldn't it be nice to have someone like Colin Kaepernick there just in case, making $1 million, who could replace him? Tennessee is a team that went to the AFC Championship game and really couldn't advance because Ryan Tannehill was throwing for 70 yards a game in the playoffs. Hedge your bets. Bring in someone else who's cheap. So those are good quality teams that could use Colin Kaepernick. I mean, that guy's won 4 playoff games. He's been in big games. He's better than most backup quarterbacks you could get.
Okay. Final question. This is the third time I've said final question. So, because I love talking to you about this stuff.
Same.
Iggy, our hypothesis is give him about $1 million a year.
Yep.
Okay. Do you think Colin Kaepernick would accept that?
No, I don't. But
Well,
I almost feel like it's not fair for me to assume that the guy's been silent for 3 years. Who knows? I don't think he will. I knew him when he was younger. He's a lot older now. He may have changed, but when he was younger, he was I always say he's the most narcissistic, self-centered, shallow person I've ever met. And to me, going from the anonymous backup to the starter and presumed greatest quarterback of all time, which was what Ron Jaworski said he might be, was too much. The fame went to his head and he couldn't give it up. And this is just a new way for him to be famous. I don't think he wants to be a backup quarterback. I think he'll always self-sabotage any opportunity he gets in the NFL, like that, tryout he had that he found issue with and didn't go. But that being said, I don't think it's fair to assume that, and the fact that no team has even called his bluff and offered him $900,000 is shameful. So they need to put the ball in his court.
I agree. And here's what I would say. In a way, it was unfair of me to ask, would he accept it? Because how the hell do you know? I would say, I hope he would accept it.
Me too.
I hope if it were offered, I would hope that he would see it as a challenge the way an athlete would,
Yes.
and he would accept it. And I think we can end on this. We would love to see Colin back in the league. All the best, Colin. God love you.
And wouldn't you respect him a lot more if he did accept that?
I would respect him tremendously as a football player, and as a competitor.
Me too.